Today we're talking about Enneagram types 2, 3, and 4, namely the heart types. I would like to discuss a little bit what are the things that make these three types similar to each other, what they have in common, what is important to them, but at the same time, what are the things that kind of separate them from each other, and what are the specific strategies that each of the three Enneagram types employ in order to grow, develop, but at the same time to cover the things that hurt them the most. So if you remember from one of my previous videos, Introduction to Enneagram, where we discussed all of the three triads in general terms, heart, head, and instinct, when it comes to the heart triad, we are looking at a profound meaning of identity. Of course, identity is something that all types care about, that all people care about. But specifically when it comes to types 2, 3, and 4, the heart triad, identity becomes a core foundational aspect in their lives. They care a lot about having some sort of affirmation from other people that what they are doing is right. They care a lot about their identity standing out from the crowd, but in different ways. The feeling that is at the center of this triad is shame or embarrassment. All of these three types are concerned with eliminating the feeling of shame or embarrassment from their lives. And what is this shame associated with? Well, it's associated with a feeling of not being good enough, of having their self-worth attacked by various different factors that could come into play into their lives. It could be what other people say, or it could be what other people think, or it could be how other people interpret their actions. They're very much focused on receiving this kind of inputs from other people in order to convince themselves as well that their self-worth is there. Okay, and that they deserve that kind of appreciation and love and respect that comes from other people. Enneagram 2, the helper, is a type that, as the name says it, is extremely focused on the needs of other people. In MBTI, we often associate this with high extroverted feeling, although sometimes there are cases when people who value introverted feeling as a hero or auxiliary function also have an Enneagram 2 approach. And basically what these people do is that they care a lot about how other people feel. They care a lot about what are the needs of others and what they can do to meet those needs. They are extremely, extremely perceptive of the feelings and the emotional charge of a situation or of a person, of a group of people, and their entire being responds to that. It's as if they cannot stop themselves from reading the emotions of other people, reading the needs of other people, immediately coming in their help, coming in their support. It could be through saying something nice. It could be with helping them with something like physical, like, I don't know, helping them finish housework or whatever. It could be anything. But their whole energy is channeled into pushing those people towards something that they need, towards fulfilling their needs. And even though the helper basically comes across as a very generous, warm, supportive individual, they often hide a fear of shame, of embarrassment that would come as a result of them not being worthy of other people's love. Usually in childhood, Enneagram 2 grows up believing that if they do not fix other people, if they do not meet the needs of other people, if they don't put other people first, then they are not worthy of receiving love in return. So they offer so much love, they offer so much appreciation for other people. They care so deeply for other people's needs because they hope deep down that they will receive the same love, unconditional support, and appreciation from others as well. And of course, this is really intrinsically associated with their identity. I need to receive this because I need to know about myself that I'm the kind of person who's kind and generous and loving and supportive. On the one hand, twos have the real gift of being truly supportive and loving of others, kind and generous, with exceptional emotional management, or more so than that, emotional intelligence related skills when it comes to interacting with other people. But they can also become really frustrated because their needs are not met. They often do not notice how they really feel and what they really need because they're so focused on other people that eventually, of course, after ignoring their needs for such a long period of time, they will inevitably feel like their resources are depleted and that they are not receiving the basic things that they need in order to be happy and fulfilled. So they will lash out. This is when 2 moves to 8 in disintegration and periods of, let's say, lack of health. Enneagram 2 takes some of the characteristics of Enneagram 8 and becomes much more aggressive in terms of asking for the things that they need. So after being passive in their communication without asking, hey, friend, I would need your help with this problem, or hey, I would need some time for myself, or so on. Of course, after a period of severely neglecting their needs, they will eventually become really frustrated with that, and then this aggression will come out of their personality and they will continuously push others in order to receive that from them. Then we've got Enneagram 3, the achiever. Similarly to Enneagram 2, they also care about receiving positive feedback from other people, and this is something that kind of fuels their sense of identity and consequently their sense of self-worth. The achievers are people who are extremely passionate about having exceptional results in everything that they do. They want to have exceptional results at work. Usually this is what happens most of the time. They want to be the very best, the top performer in their business, whatever they're doing, or in school, or in hobbies and projects, and sometimes even in their most intimate relationships. They want to perform. They want to be exceptionally good at something. But more so than that, they care about other people seeing that. Type 5, for example, might also be interested in being very good at something, but they care much less about what other people think. Enneagram 3 fuels themselves from receiving positive appreciation and feedback from others. They want to be seen, they want to be recognized for their amazing qualities. They're often extremely driven people, strategic in their approach, very focused on their goals and objectives, who usually tend to work very hard to be able to reach those objectives. As I said, it could be in their personal life or in their professional life. It's probably easier to spot it in their professional life, but that doesn't mean they cannot get very competitive in their personal lives as well. This is a type that we often find among MBTI types that score high on extroversion and thinking. We've got ENTJs, ESTJs, ENTPs, and ESTPs who kind of fill up the space. Of course, other types can also be an Enneagram 3, but it's very common among ET types, because usually Enneagram 3s tend to be quite extroverted, tend to be quite task-oriented, performance-oriented, and they like to get things done. They get an extreme sense of satisfaction from actually, like, it could be finishing things, but not always. I feel like this is some area where MBTI also comes into play and has an effect on it. It could be finishing something, or it could be getting an exceptional result into something, or it could be being the best based on all of the achievements that they have collected over time. Sometimes they're very good planners and they like working with a to-do list. Sometimes they don't care so much about a very detailed planning, but they still care a lot about feeling that they're moving forward with their work and feeling as though people see them as an inspirational leader that stands out from the crowd based on their exceptional achievements. And even though they're often extremely charismatic and they come across as very confident, they might actually hide a fear that, well, if I'm not the best, if people do not see that, if they do not see my achievements, then I do not deserve their love and appreciation. So there is a really deep link between self-worth and what other people say about them or think about them with respect to their achievements and results. And then we've got Enneagram 4, the individualist, usually, or the romantic or the idealist. This is a type that seems to have a quite different energy from Enneagram 3. So if we've got the more extroverted, task-oriented Enneagram 3, we've got the more introverted, emotional Enneagram 4. The most common types that are associated with this, MBTI-wise, are introverts and feelers. I would say that particularly FI hero types, INFPs and ISFPs, but also could be INFJs, because they really, really care about having their own special identity. They're very concerned with what makes them different from other people. Sometimes they're very explicit about it. They're like, yes, I want to stand out from the crowd because I'm like this, I'm like this, I'm like this. This is what makes me different as my own personal identity. Sometimes they say that they don't want to be different, but actually in truth, they really do want to. But this feeling that they're different, that they're special, can also make them feel overwhelmed because they believe that if they don't find that sense of connection with themselves, of authenticity, then they do not deserve the love and appreciation of other people. Again, they associate their sense of self-worth with a deep sense of identity. They are the types who care the most about authenticity as compared to everyone else. It really matters to them to be dedicated, to be passionate, to be driven, to live life in accordance with their deepest personal values. They care a lot about finding a lot of representations of those values into every single thing that they do. They're often very creative, artistic people because their art can be a form of expressing the things that really matter to them. They often pay much more attention to their own needs and feelings and might get caught up into that inner world, having difficulty coming out of their shell and truly expressing themselves or truly connecting with other people. They often feel like if they're not open and honest about how they really feel, even though it could be something, uncomfortable, then they will lose their sense of self. And that's something that they place a huge amount of importance on. Again, if they feel like they lose that sense of self, they feel like they lose their self-worth, and that causes them to feel embarrassed, shameful. The feeling that as a heart type, they really, really, really try to avoid. So yeah, this is a basic overview of the 3 Enneagram types that are part of the Heart Triad, or the Feeling Triad: the Helper, the Achiever, and the Individualist. What are your thoughts? Are you one of these 3 types, or do you know anyone who belongs to this group? Share your thoughts below. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next week with more content on personality, MBTI, and Enneagram.